September 29, 1967, I Corps, Quang Nam Province, South Vietnam. I took it easy on the cherries following the Hilo crash, but their days of wine and roses is over. We need to give Charlie a bloody nose, make him think twice about confronting us in the bush. The squad has been relocated to a new base camp about 10 clicks to the northwest. LT has ordered us to check out a report of suspected enemy activity at map coordinate 92 north 85 east. This intel is time sensitive, so we'll need to move quickly. On the way back we are to check out a fishing village on the coast called Quang Phu. I hope the cherries are ready because this time we will likely get into the thick of it with Charlie.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Solo Gamers Club. This is Keith, and tonight we're going to be continuing with our second mission in Purple Haze. The mission is entitled Patrol. For this mission, the squad has been relocated to a new base camp. We're still in the northern area of operations. Our primary objective of this mission is to travel to this grid coordinate and check out that location. Intelligence suspects heavy VC activity. Our secondary objective is to check out this fishing village known as Kung Fu. Now, as the intel is time sensitive, we want to check out that first point of interest before 1100 hours. Intel claims that those VC units are kind of on the move and we need to get there before 1100, so I've placed a marker to indicate that. It's currently 600 hours. The squad is fresh and we have minimal threat level. Two of our squad members are going to begin the mission with 1 point of damage. We've got Pazzi and Valencio, and that's in reference to their rickshaw accident while they were on R&R. Now, I had one issue with the game, and that involves these claymore mines. Now, a claymore mine it's not like a grenade. You don't throw it. It's something that you use in a prepared position. And in the combat resolution, I read through that very carefully. You're allowed to set off your claymores prior to the start of combat, but that just doesn't make thematic sense. If you are ambushed, you don't have time to set up claymores and things like that. They're firing at you. You don't know that that's happening. So to me, that's a little wonky. I can see the claymores if the VC had the initiative and you were in a prepared position, like say in a village or whatever. But if you're on the march and you're ambushed, claymores you wouldn't be able to use those. So I'm a little unsure of how to handle that. I think we're going to have some sort of a house rule for those. Now, I haven't checked out the BGG site regarding that. Maybe someone has commented on that already. But I think you can understand my reservations regarding that. It kind of is situational. The way the combat rules are written, the claymores can be set off. That's the first thing you do. And that just would not be realistic if the squad was ambushed. In any other situation, you could make an argument that they would have laid their claymores out and then you could set those off, but not if they're ambushed. So I'm not sure how this is going to work out because I haven't played a combat yet. This will be the first time that we're likely going to be engaging in combat. But that's just one thing that stood out to me. So I think what we're going to do is, without further knowledge, I'm going to limit the ability of the engineer to use claymores in the situation. If we're ambushed, he's not going to be able to set off those claymores. That's how I'm going to house rule this for right now. I'll quickly go over the loadouts for the squad. Staff Sergeant Woodburn is going to have the flak jacket, M14, smoke grenade, a frag grenade per his pitcher special ability. He has to start with one, and rations. Our radio operator, Morrigan, is going to have the radio set, an M16, frag grenade, and extra clips. Warnock, our heavy weapons specialist, is going to carry the M60 with the stand, extra ammo, and extra rations. Our scout, Posey, is going to be the point man to start out the mission. He's carrying a flak jacket, M16, smoke grenade, extra rations, and an extra clip. Raiden, our engineer, is going to be carrying the M79 grenade launcher with 2 grenades, extra rations, and the claymores. And finally, Valencio, our corpsman, he's going to be carrying 2 extra rations, the first aid kit, an M16, and an extra clip. So we're ready to begin. It is 600 hours, September 29th, 1967. And we're going to get started with the mission. And we're going to begin by declaring a march action. So we're going to march, I think, due south, and we will march into that rice paddies south of the base camp. Rice paddies are going to cost us 15 minutes of time and 1 stamina. So that's our current condition of the squad. Now we're going to make our threat roll. Now, as we're adjacent to the base, the purpose of the threat roll is not to increase the threat level. That doesn't happen when you're adjacent to the base. However, if a yellow or red result comes up, we still have to resolve an encounter. Here is the roll. The result is red. That is going to increase, would normally increase the threat level by 2. But in this case, because we're adjacent to the camp, it does not. What it will do is force us to resolve an encounter. And the encounter reads, complications. Those cuts on your hands look infected. Yeah, tell me about it. I can barely grip my rifle. Okay, we have to determine a random Marine. And the selected Marine cannot use aim shot for the rest of the mission. And then we have to add that marker to the Marine's profile card and then continue the mission. All right. Okay, we're going to determine a random Marine. 1 through 6 will give us their ID number. And that is 5, and that is going to be Raiden, our engineer. So he's going to gain the no aimed shot token on his card. That won't affect him too badly because his M79 grenade launcher can't use an aim shot anyway, so that's all right. All right, we're going to continue with another march action. We're going to continue to head due south. That'll be into this hilly terrain. And then we'll probably end up moving into the mountains here and approaching the village from the north. So the hilly terrain will cost us 45 minutes, and that's going to move us up 1, 2, 3. It is now 700 hours, and that also is going to cost us 3 stamina. So stamina goes down to 11. All right. And now we're going to make our threat roll, and we are no longer adjacent to the base, so the threat level is going to be adjusted by the die roll and possibly setting off an encounter. Here is the roll. The result is a yellow. That is going to raise the threat level by 1 and force us to undertake another encounter. And the encounter reads, peasants. Some shacks up ahead. Our route leads directly through them. Decision for the squad leader. A, circle round the shacks. B, go through them. Well, my wisdom says circle round the shacks, so we're going to choose A. The response is if A plus 15 minutes, add 1 to the threat level, and then continue the mission. So it's going to burn 15 minutes. It is 7:15 hours. And we also gain 1 on our threat level, and that is up to 3. We're going to continue with another march, and we're going to change direction to the southeast, and that's going to be into this mountainous terrain. So we'll move into the mountainous terrain, and we'll see what happens. We're getting close to our destination. Okay, the mountainous terrain is going to burn an hour. It is 815 hours, and stamina will go down by 4. We're down to 7. And now it is our threat level. Let's see if we can get a decent roll here. And we did. And that is a neutral. So no gain to the threat level and no encounter. And that's incorrect. We are adjacent to an EAP, or an EAZ rather, enemy activation zone. So we have to raise that by 1 no matter what. So now we are at medium threat level. And we're going to continue on with another march, and this is going to be into that mountainous terrain, and we're going to reveal whatever number 1 is. Now we're inside of an EAZ, so that's going to automatically increase the threat level by 2 just by that alone. All right, let's see what number 1's about. All right, so we've moved through some more mountain terrain. That's going to be another hour. It is 9:15 hours. And 4 on the stamina, so it's going to move us down to 3. The squad's getting tired. And now it is going to be our threat roll. Now we're inside of an EAZ, so it's automatically going to be +2. Here's the roll. The roll is a neutral, so we won't set off any encounters there other than the event that we have moved into. But the threat level will move by 2 because we're inside of that EAZ, so we're up to 6. Now let's find out what's happening with number 1. And that reads, as you approach the target location, the vegetation thins. You can see trees have been cut down, but the foliage is still too dense to make much out. You can't tell if the enemy is there or if it's just more effing jungle. It reads, if you have revolution, bribe, or force written down on our sheet, we're supposed to do number 2. Otherwise, make the following decision. A, send 2 Marines to circle round and investigate. The rest remain here. That'll cost us 30 minutes, and we'll have to read number 3. Otherwise, move the whole squad into the target location. All right. Well, I think I'm going to select A. Send 2 Marines to circle round and investigate. The rest remain here. It's going to cost us 30 minutes, and we're going to read entry number 3. So we'll adjust our clock. We are at 9:45 hours. Entry 3 reads, if it's 11:30 or earlier, read number 7. All right, that is what we're going to do. Number 7 reads, your 2 Marines disappear into the undergrowth. You wait in nervous silence, your guts wrenching even harder with each passing minute. Half an hour later, one of your men returns with the all clear. You enter what looks like a makeshift POW camp. There are bamboo cages and entrances to tunnels and underground bunkers. Whoever left here, left in a hurry. You spy a jungle path leading east. And we have to make a decision. A, follow the trail to see if it leads anywhere. Or B, search the camp. If we search the camp, it's going to cost us 30 minutes and 1 point of stamina. I think we're going to select B, search the camp. That tells us to read entry 15. So that cost us 30 minutes of time. And it is now 10:15 hours. And our stamina is now down to 2. All right, entry 15 reads, you search the enemy camp. You hear a grisly scream of pain. One of your Marines comes out of a partially buried hut, a bunker, dragging another wounded Marine. Sprung a bamboo whip trap, he says. Thing went clean through his leg. All right, we have to determine a random Marine, and we're supposed to re-roll if it's the squad leader. That random Marine is going to have to draw 2 wound cards and take the one with the lower number. So we'll select our random Marine, and that's going to be Marine number 1. Well, that's the squad leader. We have to re-roll that. Result is a 2, and that is Morrigan, our radio operator. Well, we've drawn 2 cards. One of them is the KIA, the other one is a flesh wound. That's the lower number, so we'll be using that flesh wound. We'll shuffle the KIA card back in. All right, now that says when we draw the card, we have to take 2 points stress. So Morgan's going to take 2 points of stress damage. And then we have to slip that card underneath his Marine card. So we slip that card underneath his profile, and that's a -1 to his health, -2 to his load capacity, and then we've also added on those 2 stress. So right now his loadout is going to be a total of 9. And basically he's going to have to, if he wants to keep the radio and his M16, he'll have to give up the frag grenade and the clip of ammo. So we're going to have to assign that to some other Marines. Well, there's no Marines that are going to be able to take that equipment, so that's going to have to be left behind. All right, we'll continue reading now. It says, inside the bunker, on top of a table, lies a corpse in American Utilities. He's just skin and bones. He wears a headband, and the wound to his head is charred black. A contact shot. He was either executed at point blank, or, as this seems real strange, he shot himself. One of your Marines hands you a revolver. We found this, he says. It's a model 1892, French. My old man brought one of these back from Normandy. Nice piece. And now we have to determine another random Marine. Reroll if the squad leader. He's going to receive a Soviet revolver card. He can keep it or give it to another Marine. He may temporarily go over his carrying limit. All right. So we'll determine another random Marine. Result is a 1. We can't have the squad leader. We'll do it again. 6. That's going to be our corpsman, Valencio. So we're going to give that Soviet revolver to him. He's going to be over his limit, but it says we can temporarily go over the limit. He'll keep that, and we'll continue reading, and it says, the rest of your Marines report back with what they found. The most interesting thing is a half-burned map, marked up with the location of the camp you're in, and a matching mark to your west. Most likely another VC outpost. All right. So the instructions read we're supposed to note roulette. The word roulette is in yellow highlights, so that's going to be a mission only entry. So we're going to mark that under mission 2, under the missions column, and we're going to write in the word roulette. All right, so we've written in the word roulette in the mission column. Now it says the scout tests intelligence, difficulty 2, to determine where to place event number 3 on the map. All right. So our scout Pazzi is going to have to do an intelligence test, difficulty of 2. He's got an intelligence of 3, so that's going to give him 3 gray dice, and he gets his automatic 3 purple because this is a skill test, and we'll see if we can get 2 successes. And here's the roll. All right, here's the results. 2 1s and a 4, and two 1s and a 3. So we've got 2 successes. So we've passed that level 2 test. It says where to place 3 on the map. With a success, we're going to place it at 91 north, 86 east. So we'll place event number 3 at 91 north and 86 east. So this is where we are right now. Number 1 has been completed. And then it says, after the test, read entry number 23. Entry 23 reads, you radio in the situation. The LT on the other end asks if your squad's in good enough shape to check out the new intel. He says it's imperative the brass get more info about what Charlie's up to. You look at your Marines with trepidation. And our decisions are A, agree to check it out, B, decline the new mission. All right. Well, we're in fairly decent shape. We do have one wounded guy. That's Morrison, our radio operator. That's a tough decision. Our stamina's at 2, and we do have that wounded radio man. I think we're going to decline the mission, and we're going to move on to 27. Reading entry 27. Understood. I'll defer to your judgment. You can hear the LT's disappointment. Return to base, and we'll debrief. You need an evac, or are you good? Our choices are A, take the helicopter evac to base, or decline and return on foot. Well, I think we're in good enough shape to hump it back to our base camp. So we're going to select B, decline and return on foot. Reading that, it says, if B, new primary objective is return to base. If you have Charlie as a keyword, read 24. If you have roulette, read 25. All right, so we're going to be reading entry number 25 because we have roulette marked. And that reads, we need to take that body back with us, says one of the Marines, staring at the entrance of the bunker where you found the dead American serviceman. Or we put him on a chopper, but I ain't seen a good spot for no LZ. Our decision is take him with you, or find a spot to make an LZ and call in an evac. Well, we're going to take him with us, I think. So we're going to be reading decision A. And it says here we have to take the KIA marker and continue the mission. So we're going to place that KIA marker on our board, and that means that each move is going to cost us another 30 minutes and a -1 to our stamina. We're basically carrying that body back on a litter. Problem is our stamina is now down to 2, so we're going to be doing a little forced marching, it looks like. We're going to continue on with a march, and we're going to head northwest into the mountain region up here. So we'll move into there, and we'll take care of that march. Now this is more than likely going to be a forced march. All right, the terrain is mountainous, so that's going to cost us an hour. So we'll move our hour marker up to 11:15. It's also going to be an extra 30 minutes because of carrying the litter, so we're up to 11:45 hours. It's also going to be 1 extra stamina loss, and we have to lose 4 stamina. Well, we can only lose 1 of that 4. So that means it's going to be a forced march. And the forced march rules read, pushing beyond 0 SPs. If a march or event or encounter requirement would push the SPs of the squad below 0, the SPs drop to 0, and every SP lost below 0 roll 2d6. For each die rolled, the Marine with the corresponding ID takes 1 damage. Cover and flak jackets do not apply. All right, well, we've exceeded 0 by 2, so we're going to have to make 2 separate rolls of 2d6 and assign the damage accordingly. Okay, here's the first roll. And that's going to be affecting Marines 2 and 5. So, Morrigan and Raiden are going to take a damage point. All right, we've marked them with the damage, and we have to do that once more. And this time, number 2, and that is Morgan. He's going to take 2 more points of damage. That moves him up to a total of 3. So he's at 3 of his total of 6 right now. All right. And I was in error. We actually were 3 points underneath 0, so we have to make an extra roll for forced march. Here's the other roll. That's a 5 and 2. So Morgan is really getting hit. He is at 4 damage. And Raiden is at 2 now. All right, that completes the forced march. All right, now it's time for our threat roll, and we're within 1 click of that enemy activity zone, so we're going to be getting a +1 no matter what the roll is. Here is the roll. Result is a neutral, but we're going to be gaining 1, moving us up to 7 on the threat level. There will be no event, but that is the results. Now we definitely need to do a bivouac. I did not want to do it in the same space as the enemy activity zone. So now at least we've got a little bit of separation there. I think for our next action we're going to do a bivouac. And this is going to be a standard bivouac. All right, I'm going to declare a 1-hour bivouac. So that's going to move us up 1 hour. That'll make us recover 4 stamina. And then we do have to make 1 threat roll though. Threat roll is going to be modified by +1 because we're within 1 space of that enemy action zone. So we'll make the roll and see what happens. Result is a red, and that is not good. That is going to push us up to a total of 9, and we're going to have some kind of a problem here. And it says under special rules for threat, if the threat level reaches 9 at any point during the mission, we have to read number 48. This can occur multiple times. All right, so we'll have to read 48. Well, there is no entry 48, so I'm assuming they meant 47, and we're going to read that. And that says, you're starting to feel the whole enemy activity LT mentioned wasn't BS after all. Your gut's telling you the VC is lurking about, ready to pounce. But the only thing you can do is what you do anyway. Repeat to your men to keep their eyes peeled for trouble. It doesn't help, not when finally the bullets start flying. It's an ambush. And I think in addition, I'm going to consume 5 rations. And that'll move us up an additional 5, so we're back up to 9 stamina now. And the rations are consumed. All right, so we're going to be setting up for our first combat. We begin by checking out that first box. And this one says log entries. If camp, discard the purple starred units on the enemy display. Well, we're not going to be able to have that. So in this case, initiative is going to start at -3. They're going to have 1 tactic, and then we're going to lay out all of these units with the hard targets as listed. All right, we've laid out the combat. We've got our hard targets and soft targets according to the number of dots, and same for the U.S. forces. Those are according to the dots listed on their specialty cards. We begin the combat resolution with Claymore Mine Resolution. And in this case, the claymores would be, I think, thematic, because part of a bivouac you would lay out your claymores. So it would make sense that we would have those at this point. What's going to happen is we're going to resolve this claymore attack against every enemy in the first row, and we're going to divide the damage amongst however many characters are there. To start out, we've got to roll a d6, and on a roll of 6, the claymores will malfunction, and we won't have our electronic connection to set them off. Here's the roll. We rolled a 1, so they're good. We're going to be making this claymore attack now. All right, our claymore attack is going to consist of a total of 8 strike dice, 2 critical dice, and 3 of the purple dice. Now, part of the Claymore's characteristics is we're going to remove 3 soft and ignore all the hard targets in that first row. So if any of these characters are hit, they're going to remove up to 3 soft target counters before we do our damage. Okay, we'll make the roll now for the gray dice. Actually, we'll do the purple first. Purple. Okay, we've got 2 4s and a 1. Next will be the strike dice. And we've got 2 5s, 6, a couple of 4s, 2 1s, and a 2. Now it's the critical dice. And we've got a 6 and a 1. All right, let's analyze that. So we'll analyze the results of the Claymore attack. Do these 4s first. Each one is going to be worth 2 points. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got a total of 4 damage. And I'll mark our total damage with these red smaller dice to keep track of it. Next we'll check the 1s, and we've got a total of 1, 2 there, so that'll move us up to 6. And then we've got a pair. So that is another one. That'll be a total of 7 damage at this point. So we've checked our gray dice versus the purple targeting dice. And then we finally match up our critical dice, matching them to focus and strike dice. And these are each worth 2 points. So it would be 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. So we'll get an extra 8 added on to that 7. That'll put us at 15. So 12 and 3 is 15. That's our total attack. Now since we have 2 critical dice, that makes that a critical hit, and that's going to erase all of the soft targets right off the bat. So all of those are going to be gone no matter what. And now we're going to apply equally those 15 hits. So that's going to be 7.5 each, and the total value here is 10, so we've definitely taken both of them out. We're going to apply 7 here, and we'll apply 5 there, and that's going to definitely take both of those guys out. Those are going to go into the killed in action area, and that resolves the Claymores. Now we move on to initiative determination, and we know from the setup that the VC have -3, so it's going to be their initiative. First thing we're going to do is apply any enemy tactics. So we'll flip over this tactics card, and it says regroup plus 1d6. And that reads, regroup, move the initiative marker 1d6 spaces away from the Marine side and apply it immediately. So we'll make a roll. It's going to move 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. They're maxed out there. All right. Next we're going to draw and resolve an enemy combat marker. So we'll draw one of those randomly. That'll tell us the dynamics of their attack. And that is, all right, it's going to cost them 4 initiative. They're not going to attack this turn, but what they will do is move any enemy marker in a space without hardcover to an empty space with hardcover. If multiple options, move a specialist first, then a fighter with the fewest hit points remaining. All right, well, all the hardcover is used up at this point. So the last step is they're going to draw a tactics. This one would be put back into the mix, and we would shuffle that group of tactics and place a random one out there. We'll do that. All right, that costs them 4 initiative, so we'll move them down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And because of the disruption of having those soldiers in the front line killed, it's going to cost them an extra 1. So they're still going to have the initiative. So they'll be drawing another token. And this time they draw 5 initiative. It's going to give them a bonus purple die, 2 criticals, and another tactic. So we'll be adding another tactic to the board. All right. And now they're going to be spending 5 initiative. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That'll shift it over to the Marines, but first they have their attack. So they're going to be gaining a purple die, 2 critical dice, and then we count up the number of gray dice listed on the formation in front of us. And that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So they'll have 8 standard dice. And they're also going to gain an extra purple because of that machine gunner. So we're going to roll those and apply the damage to the Marines listed in the die roll, 1 through 6. All right, I've decided to move my dice tower over to the side, so we're going to roll these. We'll start out with the purples. And they've got a 5 and a 1. And we'll roll our strike dice. There's 8 of those. And they've got quite a few here. 2 6s, 2 5s, 2 4s, 1 and a 2. All right, let's match those up right away, and then we still have to roll our crits. I decided to re-record this after rolling the crits to make this a little bit more understandable. I didn't like the way I explained it. We rolled our crits. Those were a 5 and a 6. The 2 didn't match up with anything, so that's removed from the calculations. Now what we do is we just take each set of resolutions and apply those to the Marines indicated. In this case, we have 2 4s. That's 1 damage to Marine number 4. Marine number 4 is our scout. Now he has 2 soft cover tokens, so we can absorb 1 point of damage by taking the soft cover out, and that will remove that from the calculation. Next we'll go on to Marine number 6, and that's our corpsman. He's going to take a total of 2, 4, 5 hits. So he's got to take 5 points of damage. If 2 criticals would have been on him, then he loses all soft and hard cover from the calculation, but he's only got the 1, so that won't happen. But he's got to take 5 points of damage. Our corpsman has only 1 soft cover, so he's going to remove that, and he's going to have to take 4 points of damage. He already had 1 from starting the scenario. He'll be up to 5 of his 7 now. Not bad, not too good. So that finishes with the resolution of the 6s. We'll move on to the 5s now, and that's going to be Raiden, our engineer. He currently has 2 wounds on him already. So he's going to be taking an additional 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 damage on Raiden. Raiden is our engineer. He's here. He only had 1 cover, so he's going to be taking a total of 8 damage, and that is going to exceed his total. So we're going to place a total of 8 damage onto Raiden, and that is way over his total. So what happens there is when you exceed your health capacity, all the tokens are removed, and you have to draw a wound. So Raiden is going to take a wound. We'll mark him with a red cube on his wound track, and we'll draw the top card from the wound area. And he gets a flesh wound. All right. He's going to take 2 stress. So we'll mark him with that, and then this card will get slid underneath his. All right, that's going to cut his portage ability down by 2, and it reduces his total wounds now, wound damage to 5. And we'll mark him with 2 stress. All right. So the 5s are complete, and all we have left now is for the damage to the squad leader, and that's going to be a total of 1 damage. Our squad leader he has 2 soft covers, so that'll be absorbed with a soft cover. and that will end that attack. And now it shifts to the Marines' initiative. All right, the Marines will activate first, and I think we're going to activate our scout Noodle. He's got a smoke grenade, so he's going to start off by setting off some smoke. So we place a smoke marker in that column, and that protects all of the players or Marines in that column. That's his first action. That costed 3 initiative. 1, 2, 3. He gets to take another action though, and I think he is going to use idle. That'll still give us the initiative. We're still in the green. Idle does not cost any initiative. So the smoke grenades are spent, and now we can take another activation. And I think we're going to begin by getting our heavy weapons specialist Warnock and his M60 moving. So we're going to have him do a move action. He's going to move there, and they'll give him a nice open line of field for his M60. Now he has a special ability called Sprinter. It says if you take a move order, the first space you enter costs no initiative. So he has not spent any initiative yet. And I think next he is going to open up with his M60. It'll require him to spend ammunition. That is the symbol there. It's going to cost 6 initiative. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's going to allow him 8 gray dice and 2 criticals. And I think he's going to target this machine gunner in the hard cover. We determine the range. We don't count the smoke area. That is not counted in the range calculation. So he's 1, 2, 3 spaces away. So if we look on 3 spaces away, we're going to gain an extra purple die, and it allows us to have a burst effect. And that would normally could affect adjacent units on the same row. Now the machine gun's special ability says if it is a up arrow purple or up arrow purple with burst, remove 3 soft cover. So we'll build our dice pool. We're going to have a total of 8 gray dice, 2 critical, and our normal 2 purple. Now we're going to be gaining an extra purple because of the range, so we'll get out an extra purple die. And that's going to allow us to remove 3 soft cover. We'll make the rolls and see what happens. Start out with the purple. And we've got a 1, 3, and 5. And we'll roll our gray dice. And we've got a couple 5s here. 3 of them, as a matter of fact. A 1, and we got 2 3s. So we'll pair all these up, and there's a 4 and a 2. And finally, we're going to roll our critical dice. And we've got a 6 and a 4. Okay. So we remove the dice that have no combinations. The 2 and the 6 are removed. Those won't help us. And because of the nature of the weapon, he's going to remove all of his soft cover, 3 anyway. And now we can calculate our damage. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 damage. 1 is going to be taken up by the hard target. It leaves him with 7, and that's more than enough to take him out. So he's only had 5. He's going to go on the casualty track. It was a good attack by Warnock with his M60. Now, as we activated again, when the smoke was put out by our scout, that's at full strength. When we activate it again, it should have been flipped to its reduced side so that reduces the amount of coverage that we get from it. All right, the PC have lost 3 out of their total of 9. So when it gets to be 50% or more, we're going to make a retreat roll for them, but not at this point. So now the initiative is going to go back to the VC. We'll begin by playing one of their tactics, and it is support. Add a black star. So we're supposed to draw a random black star enemy and place it on the back row. Now the back row is completely filled up, so I guess we would place it wherever it is available, and that'll be there. It says to use hard target whenever possible for the back row, but I guess he would move into that hardened position there. All right, that support marker is removed, and that one slides down for the next turn. Now we're going to draw a combat token for them. And they've got 5 initiative, and it'll gain a purple and yellow die for them. So we'll get those out. And 5 initiative. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And they're still going to have the initiative after this attack. Now we count up the number of gray dice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 4, 6, and 8. All right. There's no more special dice, so that's the pool we're going to roll. And of course, they're going to gain their standard 2 purple dice in addition to that. We'll start out with the roll for the purple dice. Okay, they've got a 3, 4, and 5. We'll roll our gray dice. And we'll match those up. Oh boy, a lot of 1s. A couple of 3s, a 6, and a 4. Okay, so we can match those up. I'll roll the critical die. That's a 2. All right, the critical die does not match up with anything, so that's going to be removed. The 1s, the 3s, the 4 would match up, and a 5. The 6 plays no part. So we'll start resolving these. 5 has nothing to match that. So we've got 1 hit on number 4, and once again, that's Posy. Posy is our scout. He's here. He would gain 1 advantage for his soft cover. And this smoke counter should actually be this way, not the way I had it. So it's 1 less purple die and a +1 to hard cover. So in this case, I believe that being 1 less purple die, I don't know if you remove that die completely. I believe so. And then that would be no hit in that column. I think that's how that's done. We'll move on then to the 1s, and we have a total of 4 of them there. So there'll be 3 hits. But that's not matching up with any purple die, so there's no benefit there. Our squad leader has 1 soft cover to get rid of 1 point. So he'll take 2 points of damage, it looks like. 2 points of damage for the squad leader. And he's currently at 2 of 8. And then finally, number 3 is Warnock. He's in that column, and that would be a total of 2 damage to him. He doesn't have any soft cover or hard cover, so he'll take 2 additional damage, moving him up to 2 of 7. And that covers that initiative, and they are going to get another attack. So we'll draw another combat token for them. And this time they've got a 7 initiative, and it's going to end up giving them an extra purple, 2 criticals, and I've got to check that other symbol. And that relates to moving an enemy that is not in hardcover to a place with hardcover. Well, all the hardcover are used up. Okay. Now we have to resolve this specialty here, and that is the regroup. And they're going to gain 1d6 initiative of 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. The token cost us 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. Let's see what they've got for combat dice now. They're going to get their normal 2 plus the 1 and the 2 criticals, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And they'll gain 8 gray dice. And that'll be their dice pool. And we also don't want to forget about their casualties. Right now, that's going to be an extra point of initiative used up because of the disorganization. All right. So their tactics will be returned. And now we'll make our rolls. We'll start out with our targeting dice. Got 2 5s and a 1. Okay. Next will be the gray dice. Whoops. Okay. And we've got 2 6s, a 5, a 1, 2 3s, and a 2. Now it's the crits. 6 and a 2. All right. So we'll start resolving these for damage. Marine number 1, that's our squad leader, is going to take 2 more points of damage. Our squad leader has no soft cover, but he still has that smoke there, so that's going to reduce that by 1 purple die. So all he's going to take is 1. So that'll cost him 1 damage. He's up to 3 of 8. And that will finish that. Now we'll move on to Marine number 5, and that's Raiden. He is our engineer. He won't benefit from the smoke, so he's going to take a total of 2 damage. He doesn't have any soft cover, so he'll take both of those damage points. All right. That completes the 5s. We'll move on to 6, and that's Valencio. That is our medic. And he's going to take 2 4 points of damage. Our medic has no cover for smoke and no soft cover, so he's going to take all of that. That's 2, 4, 5 points of damage. And that's going to put him over the limit, so we remove all of his damage tokens, and we have to draw a wound card. So we'll place a wound token on him. It's his first of 3, and then we see what his wound is. This time it's a flesh wound. Okay, he's going to take 1 stress. So we'll mark him with a stress, and then we'll place that wound underneath his card. All right. So that completes the resolution of the 6s. We move on to the 3s, and that would be 1 hit on 3, and that's Warnock. That's going to move him up to a total of 3 of 7 damage. And finally, we have a critical hit on number 2, and that's going to be Morrigan, and that's going to be worth 2 points of damage. That'll move him up to a total of 6 out of 7, and his damage is reduced by 1 because of his already the wound he took earlier. So let's look at this. All right, Morgan already has 4 damage on him. His health is reduced by 1 because of the first wound he took. He'll be taking an extra 2 damage now. So we'll give him a 1. So it'll be 4, 5, 6, and that's going to equal his health. So we're going to place another wound token on him, remove all of the damage from him, and then we're going to be drawing another card, and then we compare it to the existing card to see which one will be placed either on top or underneath it. And this time he has taken a critical wound. That is not good. He's going to take 5 stress, and he's going to be pretty much in the unconscious position here. All right, he has to take 5 stress, and he's already got 2. That means he's going to be taking a stress card this time. So we have to place a red cube on his stress side, removing all the stress, and then we draw a card from the stress deck and see what that is. This one is a mild condition, Thorazine tablets. All right. So we have to place this critical wound now underneath his card, and that's going to supersede that other one. So right now, his health is down to 3, not to mention all these other things happening, and reductions in his skills as well. All right, he's going to require hospitalization after the mission too. And that is going to complete the VC attack, and the initiative will move back to the US player. Incidentally, I should be flipping these characters that have already activated. All right. And those soft cover tokens no longer apply. There's no one there. Okay. So it's initiative 3 for the US. That smoke is gone now. That's dissipated. And we will continue on. And I think we're going to begin with the squad leader, Woodburn. He has 3 points of damage on him out of 8. We'll start out with a move action, and I'm going to move him into the hard cover here. And second, he's going to use his M14, I believe. So we're going to have him use his M14, and he's going to target that leader. Or I should say elite. That'll be his target. So it's going to be at a range of 1, 2. So he'll be firing at 2. That means he gets an extra purple die. So we are going to give him his normal 2 purple, an extra purple for range. It's going to cost us a total of 4 initiative. So we will do that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoops. 1, 2, 3, 4. And he also did a move action. And that's 1 point because he moved 1 movement, 1 space. So that's the amount of initiative given up. All right. So getting back to his M14, he's going to get 4 gray. I'll give him 4 gray. 2 crit, and he is able to use an aimed shot. So that's going to give him an extra purple die for the aimed shot, but it costs 1 more initiative. All right, so that is the dice pool, and we'll start out with the purple dice. It does say on here, if aimed, remove 2 soft cover. Okay, here we go. So we've got a 5, 2 4s, and a 1. Now what's our gray dice? A 5, 2 4s, and a 3. It was a 5. And the crits. 5 and a 6. Okay, so the dice that don't match are the 1, 3, and the 6. Those don't match, but we have 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 damage. All right, we can remove 2 soft cover from him, and that leaves him with 1 soft cover and 6. So that's a total of 7 damage, and we have a total of 8. So that's enough to take him out, putting him on the killed in action track. It's a good attack. All right. And that's going to flip him to his used side. Initiative passes to the VC. This is a long battle. All right, the VC have the initiative. They have no tactics, and they draw that token. 5 initiative. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, they're going to be gaining an extra purple and an extra crit. And they will get a tactic for the future. All right, so we'll get their pool together here. We're going to gain their normal 2. And they gain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 gray dice this time. All right, that is their pool, and we'll make the rolls. I probably should have called in an airstrike, I think. That would have been smart, but I didn't. Here's the roll. A 2, a 3, and a 5. Okay, here's the gray. You got a 3, 2 1s, 6, a 6, and a 3. Okay, so we'll match these up. And the crit. You got a 3. Oh boy. All right, so those don't apply. We'll go to number 6 first. That's going to be 1 point of damage to our corpsman. He is in no cover, so he's going to take 1 point of damage, and we'll mark him accordingly. That's 1 point of damage. He already has a wound, though. Takes care of that. 1s are up next. That'll be our squad leader. Squad leader is in hard terrain, so that will knock out 1 point of damage, and he will be immune to any damage. That's good. But now, Warnock. He is not in any cover. He's going to be taking a total of 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9 points of damage, I think. And that's correct. 9 points of damage to Warnock. Well, that's definitely going to put him over. So he is going to have his wounds returned to 0, and we're going to have to draw a card and see what the damage is to Warnock. Okay, here is the card. And it is a flesh wound. He's going to take 1 point of stress, and then we'll place that card underneath his profile. And that's going to complete the VC attack. Initiative shifts back to the Marines. And I think we're going to activate our radio man. And he is going to attempt to call in an airstrike. Well, he doesn't have the ability to call in an airstrike, but he can call in artillery fire support. And that's what he's going to do. So we start out by checking our radio operator's intelligence, and we're going to make a roll. His intelligence is 4. So let's see what we've got here. He rolled a 4. So it is equal to or less than the radio operator's intelligence. We apply damage. All right. Artillery damage. Roll a d6. Remove all hard in targeted row. If you roll a 6, then each enemy in the targeted row receives 1d3 plus 2 hits. Remove 1 soft per enemy. All right. So we're obviously going to select the back row for the artillery support. So we'll start out by rolling a d6, and if we can roll a 6, all of the hard locations will be in the targeted row will be removed. We did roll a 6. That is amazing. So the hard targets are removed. All right. Then we also remove 2 soft per enemy. So each of these two are going to remove 2 soft. Now we're going to apply our damage. And that's going to be a D3 plus 2 to each of those people on the back line. And we'll do those in order. We'll start out with this one first, a D3 plus 2. We rolled a 3, plus 2 is 5. So 1 is going to be taken up with soft. And he only had a strength of 3, so that's another kill. That's great. Next one is defense of 5. Rolled a 1 plus 2 is 3, so 3 points of damage. He had 1 soft on him, so 2 points of damage will get through. He'll be reduced to 3. And now this one is out in the open. There's no cover, so 3 plus 2 is 5, and that's sufficient to take him out. And finally the last one. 2 plus 2 is 4. He had 1 soft, so that is going to give him a total of 3 points of damage. He would still be around. 4 minus 3 is 1. All right. His other action is going to be an idle. And that is going to cost him a total of 6 initiative. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. The VC have quite a few killed in action here, so we're going to have to make a retreat roll for them. And that says, after you place an eliminated enemy on the eliminated track, check to see if more than half the enemy placed at setup have been removed, and that is the case. If this is the case, immediately before the next activation, roll a d6. If the roll is higher than the number of remaining enemy fighters and specialists on the combat board, the enemies retreat. All right, well, they have a total of 4, so we'll see if they're going to be retreating. 5 or 6 would force them to retreat. And they did. They rolled a 5, so the VC are retreating. It says the combat ends at this point. Each Marine earns 1 experience, and the squad draws a boon card. All right. All right, now we have to go through the end of combat steps, and we first have to check our load capacity. If any Marine took a wound card, check his new load capacity to see if he needs to swap or discard equipment. So we'll do that off camera. All right, we've made those adjustments. Morgan had to give up his M16. We didn't have anybody to give it to. Now we're supposed to reduce our threat level all the way down to 1, but this occurred during a bivouac. And that simply states, if a random combat event is triggered following this, update the stamina track by the amount of time spent bivouacking before the roll. The bivouac then ends and the combat was resolved. All right. And now we're supposed to gain a boon card. And we'll draw our boon card, and that is listed as Squad Leader +1 boon. Discard on Squad Leader activation to reduce the activation cost of all of the Marines by 1 initiative for this round of combat. All right. If we end up not using the card, we'll discard it and gain 1 boon point. All right. All right, we're going to continue now with our squad actions, and we're going to declare a march action. Move north into the hilly terrain. Our point man will remain Posse. My battery cut out while I was taking care of the timing of this, but right now we are at 1,400 hours. We had an extra 30 minutes and 1 extra stamina loss because of the littered dead body that we're carrying. So right now we are at stamina 5, and our threat level is 1. We have to make our threat die roll now. And here's the roll. The result is a neutral, so there'll be no change to the threat level, and we have no encounter. All right. We'll continue on with another march action. We're going to move into rice paddies, and we're within 1 click of the base. So that's going to advance us 15 minutes on the clock, plus an extra 30 minutes because of the litter. And we're going to lose 1 stamina for the terrain and 1 for the litter. We're down to 3. And now we have to make a threat die roll. Now, the threat die is not going to move the threat level because we're within 1 space of the base camp, but it could cause us to have to draw an encounter. Here's the roll. And we rolled a green. First time I rolled one of those, and that allows us to recover 1 threat, and we're already at the lowest level, so that's great. And we're going to do another march, and that's going to move us into the base camp, and that will end the mission. Wow. So we'll resolve our end of mission procedure. We read and apply the relevant end of the mission text, and that's what we're going to do next. And that reads, "The day's over. The fighting's done. You did what you were supposed to. Now you can finally stand down until the next day, the next fight, and the next mission. Can only hope for one thing, a quiet, restful night." All right, our Marines are going to gain the following experience. +3 if you inspected location 1, which we did. We're also going to gain +1 for our secondary objective. We inspected location 1 before 1100 hours. So each of our Marines will earn 4 experience. So all of our Marines now are currently at 8 experience. And we have to check out other mission log entries. And those would only apply if we had intercept, force, or happy. We don't have any of those. We had roulette. So finally, we're going to move on to the R&R step. For R&R, if we had the POW or prisoner keywords, we'd be spending R&R in Da Nang. If we had villa or old and gone, we would be in town. Otherwise, we spend R&R in base. All right, so we're going to have R&R in base. And at the top here, it says +1 DRM for every 2 boons that you spend before the roll. Well, we only have 1 boon point, and that was due to this boon card that we couldn't use. At the end of the mission, we discard it and we gain 1 boon. So we're going to gain a boon point, and that boon point will be given to the squad leader. So we're going to just make our standard roll and see what the effects of R&R are on us. Here's the first roll. We rolled a 4, and score is the result. We'll roll another one and see what we get for that. Result is a 2. So we'll be reading that entry. It says, "Remember how we took LT's Jeep on a joyride? That was fun. Okay, maybe not for you. One of your Marines gets caught after the joyride. A random Marine suffers 2 stress, and 3 other random Marines discard 1 stress each." All right. So we're joyriding in the lieutenant's Jeep. We'll make a roll for a random Marine, and he's going to suffer 2 stress. And that is number 6, and that is Valencio. So he is up to 3 stress now. Well, 3 other random Marines will get to discard a stress. So we'll just roll 3 dice and see which random Marines we're discussing. 4, 1, and 6. All right. Now it says other, so 6 can't be applied. We'll have to re-roll that. 5. All right, so Marines 1, 4, and 5 can discard a stress. 1 doesn't have any. 4 doesn't have any, but 5 has 1. So he will be able to discard 1 stress, and that was our engineer. Now, as you can see, Morrigan suffered that critical wound, and that's going to require him to be hospitalized. So he is going to be hospitalized for 1 mission, but he will receive 2 experience once he returns. So we're going to have to get a replacement for our radio operator, Morrigan. So at the start of the next mission, we're going to have to get a replacement for our radio person. So we're going to update our tracking for our squad leader campaign performance. And in mission 2, we ended up eliminating 6 VC. So we're going to put a 6 down. And that's a pretty good score for that 1 mission. That's great. And then I'm going to update our tracking sheet, noting our wounded radio operator. And we'll be using Marine number 2 for that job on the third mission. And that's going to bring this video to a close. I hope you enjoyed this playthrough of Mission 2 of Purple Haze. We finally saw some combat, and I could have done better on that combat. What I should have done in hindsight was laid a lot more smoke and probably used our radio operator earlier than I did. But such is what happens in the heat of battle. So we're learning from this, and we will slowly, our skills hopefully will get better as we play. So in the meantime, this is Keith from the Solo Gamers Club signing off and wishing everyone a pleasant evening. Good night.